Are you in a relationship where you try to fix or help the other person all the time? Or do you come up with lists and scenarios of what your sister or a best friend should do to have a better life? Do you obsess even a little about your partner's problems or how they're making you unhappy? If you answered yes to any of these questions, it's possible that you're a little codependent, and I'm here to help. If you want to go from frustrated and annoyed to peaceful and free in any of your relationships, then you need to stay right here while I teach you the 4 things to ask yourself to stop being codependent. I'm Dr. Abby Medcalf. I'm a psychologist, podcast host, and best-selling author, and I can help you think differently so you can feel joy and connection in all of your relationships. And hey, that's why we're all here. Okay, so let's get to those 4 questions. Now, so these are the 4 things I want you to ask yourself as you're trying to decide, and try to change any kind of codependent behavior that you've had. And I did another video on how to know if you're codependent, so you can check that out in the link below. But the first thing I want you to ask yourself of these 4 questions, and this is, to me, my favorite and the one I ask myself the most, is who's working harder? That's the first question. So am I working harder than the other person? So if you're helping someone out in any situation, then they should be putting at least as much effort in as you are. If you're the one running around ragged and they have time to watch a movie, then you're being codependent. So what happens a lot in this situation is that we're trying to help other people. I've had this happen with my kids. They're doing some science project for school and I'm helping them, and the next thing I know, I'm the only one doing the project and they're off in the other room. They're not working harder. Or maybe there's something you have with your partner and you really want him to follow up with a doctor's appointment that he's supposed to make. And, but you're the one calling, you're the one nagging, you're the one saying, and they're doing nothing. Again, that's codependent. We need to find other ways to communicate our needs and what we're looking for. Maybe you're upset and that you're worried that they're going to die or whatever. Then that's what you need to talk about, not trying to work harder to get this appointment done. So ask yourself that all the time. Who's working harder? And this really relates to the second question, which is, what's my motive? That's the next question I want you to ask yourself. Why am I doing this? Are you doing this for yourself or for the other person? You want to check your motives and understand the why behind your actions. Is it to make yourself feel better or to get something done quicker? Are you doing this out of guilt, shame, or to avoid embarrassment? Do you like the feeling maybe of other people needing you? So in other words, what's in it for you? Why are you doing this? Sometimes you'll check in and see that your motives are completely fine, altruistic, they're good, you're there in good faith. But other times you're gonna notice, if you ask yourself this question honestly, you're gonna notice that this is more about you than the other person. This is more about how you want to appear in the world, more about how you want to be than the other person. And doing things for others out of fear isn't love. It's selfish anxiety is what it is. So, if you want to learn more on being self-aware and how to be more mindful so you can be more self-aware, those 2 things are different, but they go together. I'll link to a couple videos below this, some quick videos you can watch on self-awareness and mindfulness and the difference between them, so you can get better at that. So you can really notice what your motives are, really, check in. And actually it'll help you with tip number 3, with question number 3, which is, I want you to ask, what does my gut say? Yeah, what does your gut say? Now, a lot of times we know what we're doing is wrong or unhealthy because we get a funny feeling. You get that weird little feeling. You can feel the disconnect. And it's important to listen to that voice inside your head. Are you feeling resentful or disappointed with the other person when you're helping them? If so, then this is probably not something you need to be doing, or you need to be clearer on why you're doing it. If you are checking in with your gut and it just feels you're feeling icky in some way, any icky feeling, which is really a fear-based feeling, then this is something that's not coming from a good place, and you need to listen to your gut. So, and a lot of times there are a lot of good reasons to do something, but you got to get to the real reason. Good reasons are fine. Real reasons are where it's at. So you need to often dig deeper and really kind of notice yourself. What am I actually feeling right now? What's going on? And again, those mindfulness video, that little mindfulness video and self-awareness video will really help you in this. So definitely check those out below. And then the last question I want you to ask yourself is, am I teaching them to fish? So in other words, will what I'm doing result in the other person learning new skills so they can do it on their own next time? Are you, teaching them to fish or giving them a fish? It's that old adage. Whatever you're doing for someone else should be helping them reach their next level of autonomy. So there are definitely times, for example, when I've been teaching something maybe to my kids that where initially I am working a little harder than them because I'm showing them something and I'm, having to do a little more prep or whatever. But I'm able to answer this question. I'm teaching them to fish. So I'm doing it in a way so that the next time this comes up, they don't have to ask me. They now know how to make their own eggs in the morning. They now know how to do their own laundry instead of asking me, hey mom, where's my, baseball shirt? So that's really how I want you to see this. What they should be getting to a new place where they're going to feel better about themselves. So if that other person is going to be dependent on you for this particular thing every time it comes up, that's a problem. Again, you want to be able to shift at least some of that responsibility, obviously with age and other things, and depending on who it is, but that's what you want. So before I tell you some final things to think about, which are really going to help drive this home, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and tell me the one big struggle you're still having in your relationship, because I'll answer it in a future video. So I'd love to hear that below. And if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button. And if you're liking this, then you got to hit the subscribe button. So you can do that now too. All right. Now the bottom line is, I'm going to give you some gold here, is that you need to practice something that's called loving detachment. That's really what all this is about, and that's really how to get things back on track so that you are not acting in codependent ways. And really what loving detachment is, it means that you're separating yourself emotionally, spiritually, or mentally from another person and what they're doing, what they're saying, or what they're thinking. And I'm eyeballing you right now who think you can read minds. No, you can't. So, well, I know what they're thinking, so I did this thing. No. So there are a few things to keep in mind. And when you're practicing loving detachment, and remember, number one, that you cannot control others. Really, I've been trying for years. Trust me. Again, I'm a control enthusiast. I love to control. You can't control others. And once you realize that no matter how much you push, manipulate, cajole, threaten, that you ultimately can't really control other people's actions or behaviors, it frees you to focus on yourself and not them. Why are you so unhappy if they act a certain way? What is going on with you? Where's your control? Your job is to find your own happy. Don't rely on other people to make you happy. It is not their job. That's, first of all, it is not their job to make you happy. Even your partner. That's an inside job. You don't give that, it's an inside job, so you don't give it to somebody outside the company. You give it to someone inside the company. So second of all, you'll end up disappointed and frustrated a lot when you rely on other people to make you happy. This is true because you're probably listening to this because you're disappointed and frustrated with so many of the relationships in your life. So, hey, I'm already telling you something you know. Instead, find your own sources or source of happiness that you can control 100%. So that entails separating yourself from others. What your kid, your boss, your parent, your partner does or says isn't you. I know it feels like you. Yes, our children are reflections of us to some extent, but their victories, their losses, they need to belong to them and not you. Yep, your partner might have said something embarrassing at that party last night, but let them deal with the aftermath, not you. If someone says something to you about it, you can say, well, you better talk to Joan about it or Rick about it. Talk to your partner about it. Say, that's not something I want to talk about with you, or just cut off that conversation. So, it's really, I'm trying to think of other examples. Your parents might need to sell their home because they made, lots of poor money decisions, but that's their consequence to deal with. Do you see a theme here? People can't learn from their mistakes if they're overprotected. It's your job to support the relationships in your life, not direct them, not save them, just support them. And I know it gets tough thinking, well, what's support versus what's codependency? And that's why I make videos like this, so you can check in with those questions. That's how you know, is this support? Is this kindness? Is this loving? Is this, doing the right thing? Or am I being codependent? When you ask yourself those 4 questions and sort of go through that, you can really tell which side you're on. It really is, it's going to help you not have regret, not feel, scared that, oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. So, stick with these questions and they will serve you well. Now, I've got more tips on loving detachment, and you can check those out on a post I wrote on my website, and I'll link to that below. If you just want to really learn about loving detachment, I did a whole thing on this, so you can go read that if you want. And the bottom line is that you need to have, a healthy relationship with yourself first. I say it all the time, before you can have a healthy relationship with anyone else. And working on these 4 areas, you really will pretty quickly find yourself happier and feeling more connected and at ease in all of your relationships. Now, if you want to take this, a step further and really feeling more connected, etc., I really want to encourage you to download my free meditation starter kit. I'll link to that below, because it's one of those things, it's a literally 3 minutes. And I hold your hand through the whole thing. It can really help you. If you have to be self-aware, you have to be mindful to be able to stop and ask yourself these questions, to get off of autopilot and to really start consciously living in your life. And I'm telling you, there's nothing better. And even if you felt, oh, I don't know how to meditate and I can't do it and you've got 3 minutes. And the way I do it is a little different than most. And so it's a little guided visualization. So download the free meditation starter kit. It's right below. And it'll really help you start to live differently and be different in your relationships so that you can feel happy and whole. That's it for today. Come back next week where I'll have more great information.